Hello, TCI, our faithful followers and friends from around the world. It is an honor to be with you. This is your Archbishop, Bishop Brown, from the beautiful west coast of our United States and the state of Washington, out here at the headquarters. And we're getting excited to talk about all the things that are happening in our life. It's a new year. We've got forgive me, I've got water on my lungs. They were going to put me in ICU, wanted to put a tube down my throat, put me on one of them incubator machines to breathe for you and everything, but I'm not a big fan of that. So I decided to suffer through and survive or die on my own at home. And I've survived. I'm at the tail end. So if I sound like I'm sick or something, it's I've just got a lot of fluid in my lungs and build up. Let's get right to it. We're going to get into the message real quick and start discussing the attitudes. So, the opening line talks about let's see what Dr. Dennis Waitley has to say about positive attitudes. And this message is actually about, I think it's 10 or 11 points Dr. Waitley makes in his book, um, oh, of course I would forget the power. It'd be the one time I'd forget the name of a book that changed my life. That's awesome. There we go. The Psychology of Winning by Dr. Dennis Waitley. This was one of my childhood heroes. This is the psychologist that they hired to get our astronauts into the atmosphere with the Apollo missions, and this guy is a genius. And then he's so great in accomplishing people, um, overcoming fears and getting their mindset to be unlimited, that the United States hired him to be the U.S. Olympics psychologist. And the story I'm going to tell you is from the days at the Olympics when he first got there. There's a man. I call him Carrot Top. It's not the actor comedian from Vegas. This is way before he was probably even born. So back in the 70s, this guy won the Olympics. He was a big redhead, and people would call him Carrot Top and other names. But this he did the high jump where you just run and you jump up and over a pole. I don't know what the numbers are, like 6 feet, let's say, is the world record, right? So that year, Dennis comes in and the trainers come out and they tell him what the guy's routine. He says, I want to meet him in a different way. So here's what I'd like you to do. Um, what do you normally do in the morning? And let's say 6 foot was the world record at the time. I think it was like whatever 5'2". So they start off at 5'2" as a warm up, and then they raise it up an inch or two each time, and then he keeps jumping until they feel like they've practiced enough. So he tells them, "Do me a favor, put it at the 6 foot plus a notch." The trainer says, "You don't understand. That would be higher than the world record he just set at the Olympics." And he says, "I understand. Do it, and we're not going to tell him." So they actually faked the polls, put extensions up to make it look like it was at the 5'2" thing. They tricked his brain. They tricked his brain, people say. I disagree. They tricked his body. You see, the brain knew it was over the 6 foot. And I'll explain why in a second. But his body was faked out because he knows that 5'2", there should be like this much space above it with a pole. So they literally put the pole's extensions to make it look like there was still another foot or two to go. And they didn't tell him. And the psychologist, Dr. Dennis Waitley, stands there and they come out and the guy does his stretches, little workout, whoop, runs, jumps over the pole, and just set a new world record and didn't even know he did it and thought he only jumped 5'2". So they bring him over and he's doing the whole nice to meet you. And then he explains what just happened. He's like, no, you misunderstand. The world record was 6 feet like this last year. And he's like, yeah, no, we actually lied to your body and mind and told you it was 5'2" and put the extensions up there to make it look like it was 5'2", but you really just cleared 6'1". And all of a sudden he's like, huh? Now, in this book, here's some of the points he makes, and it's important that I kind of speed through them. I don't want to linger on them too long. So let's get into the first one. And this is from his book, the Psychology of Winning. It's a very short book, but if you've never read it, it is one you have to have. First thing is positive self-awareness. And someone might say, well, everything here, because he's going to say positive self-esteem, positive self-control, positive self-motivation. Everything says positive self and then something. I've had people tell me all that positive crap. Well, you don't have to. Trust me, I know a lot of people that have negative self-esteem. They have negative self-awareness. They have negative self-control. So you have two choices. You can choose to have a positive or a negative self, whatever that is. So the first one is self-awareness. Be open to abundance, empathic to others, and adaptable to stress. Number two, positive self-esteem. Like and accept yourself for who you are at this moment. Then he talks about positive self control. Take full responsibility and credit for causing your own effects. You know, nowadays, when I ask a person, hey, why didn't you get this done? They start with what stopped them. They give every other excuse. So and so came over. The car broke. The other employee failed. The other customer failed. There's our beautiful little Nala saying hi. Come here, Nala. Come say hi. It's okay. I don't mind. Come here. Hi, Shante. Shante. Come on. Come on. Say hi to everybody. Yeah, there's our little girls. Sorry, our therapy dogs are the love of all of our lives here. So this is little Nala. She's almost 60 pounds and she's about just shy of 6 months old, a white German Shepherd. And our Belle, who's wandering around in the office here, she is a 104-pound white German Shepherd. Anyways, they're excited when Daddy talks about being a positive influence, right? Kisses right here. Thank you. She's such a good girl. So we get back to the positive aspect of things. And let's talk about that because here's what he's trying to explain to us. Number one, and I think I left off, where was it? Self control, positive self control. Positive self motivation talks about focus on all thoughts and energy on the immediate priorities. Listen, wherever your focus goes, your energy will flow. If your focus is just going to talk about your girlfriend screwing you over, or your boyfriend screwing you over, or your boss screwing you over, or your government screwing you over, or the president screwing you over, or everybody else's you're the idiot because what you're doing is you are not positive self motivation, focusing your thoughts on all the negative. What you're doing is negative self motivation. And you say, no, you can't motivate yourself negatively. Yes, you can. You will literally talk yourself into I call it a hissy fit. You can call it whatever the hell you want. You're going to turn yourself into something really bad and you're going to snap. And you usually do things that are bad when you snap, like go drink, go party, go do drugs, go punch someone, go speed down the road. Things happen. Then you hit a little child on accident and your whole world stops because you just killed a child, because you were racing down the street, because you were angry at something that happened. And so that negativeness can just wind you up in a bad motivated way. You've got number 5, positive self-expectancy. I never look at what could have been. I'm always looking at what's going to be, what can be. I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am from a family of black and white. I'm a mixed family. And I had the Ku Klux Klan burn crosses on our yard. I physically got beat up by the Grand Wizard's grandson until one day they couldn't beat up the little boy anymore. Then the little boy beat the living tar out of the Grand Wizard's grandson. And then the little boy became a monster, a beast. And then he went and paid a visit to the Grand Wizard. Let me tell you something. I have fought racism. They came from my sister, my blood, my family. You say, wait, she can't be your blood. She's black. Oh, folks, listen, family is not a blood thing. When I choose you, you are my family. And I have chosen you, and we are deeper than blood. And so here I am as a little kid, and I think about that day and the times that we sat there and the violence that came upon my family. And as I think of all the stuff that happens, and when you think about expectancy, I expect the best results. I expect that someday, black and white, gay and straight, Jew and Gentile can all live harmonious. I have a Greek ancestor in my Greek heritage who's famous in Greece. Everyone knows of this person. It's Alexander the Great. Alexander was a young man, a dreamer like me. And Alexander had little cities all over the world. Sorry about the noise, guys. It's okay. Belle. Sorry, guys. One of our staff members just walked in and Belle always barks. She lets me know someone's here. And so Alexander had little cities called Alexandrias all over the world. And these cities, he believed, and he did this himself. Listen, he believed that if we all married and didn't care about what color it was, eventually one day we would all be the same color on this earth. Man, I think that's a beautiful. I loved that as a little boy when I read it. I loved it so much. I thought that's it. We'll get rid of all black and white. They just all be one color. And what did he do? His first wife blew and ticked off everybody back home was from Babylon. That's right in the middle of what's currently Iraq. And so here is a guy who's clearly white marrying someone who is dark. And he did it because, number one, he fell in love with a woman and he didn't care about her color or her race or her family, where it came from, or any of that. He saw a human. And I always think of that and think, oh, that's a beautiful thought. And in those little cities called Alexandrias, there was this beautiful place. And so I tend to have that kind of expectancy in life. Now, someone says that's foolish, but I'm a dreamer like Alexander. The difference is people like Alexander, and I follow his footsteps. He laid a path for me to follow and for you to follow. And that is, we can strive for this. We can expect this to happen as long as we work towards it. And that is what comes from self expectancy. Create your own winning horoscope for good health and good luck. And that's what Dr. Whately says. And then when we talk about positive self image, here's what he says. And I like this. Dr. Whately says, preview your future attractions by imagining them as Oscar winners. Do you know how much time I spend imagineering? Listen to me. I spend more time sitting and thinking and imagineering my future. And then I go and figure out how to build it. And I figure out how many months or years it'll take. And then I back it down and I look at it on a daily and I back it down to the daily and what I need to do a daily to do it. And then I go to my board and I go to my staff and I tell them all what we're doing. I lay the vision out before them. And then next thing you know, it all unfolds and it happens. So much so that my staff, and this one's awesome, my staff have actually started to tell me, stop talking. Stop talking. What do you mean? Dude, when you talk, everything starts to happen. So when you say we're buying this, boom, we buy it. And everyone's like, how do you do this? Well, there's a process. There's a way. And part of that way is you have to imagineer it, like Disney talks about imagineering, but it's imaging. It's putting an image in your head and creating it out of thin air. Now, you can't just wish it to happen. This 15-acre campus wasn't like, hey, I hope we can do this. It really would be nice. I had a positive. I had the details. I could tell you the house, how it was going to be built, what we were going to do the second I stepped on the property. That's how I work. My brain moves so fast that I saw everything and I'm just telling everybody about it. And they're like, well, okay, sure, that'll happen. Right. And then it does. And like, oh my God, this guy speaks and things happen. His words are magical. No, they're not magical. There's nothing magical. Or is there? And that's the beauty. That self image. Preview your future attractions by imagining them as Oscar winners. It's a great point. Number 7, positive self direction. Purpose forged in goals and priorities is the key to success. Where are you going? New York. From where are you starting? Seattle. How are you going to get there? I don't know. That's not my answer. Ask me that question. Where are you going? I'm leaving Seattle, going to New York. I'm going to take Highway 90, which goes all the way to Boston. But when you get up to Upper New York, there's a split. Right when you get in there, there's a freeway, and I can't remember the name of it. It actually shoots me down to Manhattan so I can get into the city of New York. And so I'll take the 90 all the way through. I know where I'm going to stop and what cities I'm going to stop. I know the off ramps. Why is that? Because I have the path. I used to do this route so much that I could literally tell you when you say what city you're in, I could tell you where to eat because I had done it so many times in traveling the country, in running my sales organizations throughout the country. And so it's really interesting when you start to think, well, then how do you get there? Well, people just say, well, I don't know. Well, if you don't know how to get there, you're not going to get there. You need a roadmap. And you say, no, I don't need a roadmap. Folks, listen, I have wasted a lifetime of money and efforts in not having the proper map. Even on my existing headquarters right now, we're developing many aspects to it: the orchard, the farm, the men's homes on the other side of the ravine, all kinds of stuff. And my excitement, my energy wants to move so fast. Sometimes I pulled the trigger on some things, and then I'm like, oh, wait, I got the cart before the horse. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this one. And you don't. And now you got to backstep and you got to rip out a road you just put in because you weren't thinking and you didn't have the road map. See, had I had a road map, I wouldn't have put in the road when I put the road in, because putting the road in meant I needed to tear the road up first to put in this one trench that I didn't know I needed because I didn't think and Imagineer enough. I just jumped the gun. Had I had the roadmap, so that's what it's talking about right there, specifically. And then what's interesting is this, because your goals, if they're not forged, and that's the thing, your purpose has to be forged in goals and priorities. I'm going to go out with my friends. One of my assistant tells me this from time to time. I'm going to go out with my friends, and I say, sure, absolutely, it's your day off. You do what you want. But if you ever want to succeed, young man, it's your day off that you're going to have to put into yourself. I pay for you to work for me from 7 to 7. That's a 12-hour shift, 6 days a week. How are you going to improve your vocabulary? How are you going to improve your knowledge unless you study on your time off? Does he have to study? Not at all. He could do like everyone else does. The majority, 99% of people just show up to the job and say, yeah, whatever, just point me in the right direction. That's not what success is. And those people don't last around me, and they won't last around anybody who's successful, because we want people who are pouring into their lives. I have people all the time that say, well, if you buy the books for me, I'll read them. Nope. Those people don't read them, and they don't care what knowledge is in there because they didn't pay for it. When you pay for the book, you are going to get your money's worth from that book, because you don't want to be the one that doesn't understand what's going on. So that's why you bought a book, to learn about something and learn about a topic, to figure out what's going wrong or what's going right so that you can duplicate it or avoid it. Self-discipline. Positive self-discipline is practice winning by relaxing, rehearsing, and relenting. I can't tell you how much people get worked up, and I'm one of them. The last few years, I've learned to just chill out, man. To take it from the hippies, dude, peace, relax. Let's just go to the beach. Let's go to the mountains. Let's take a walk into the city, wherever you're at. Find your little spot and just take one of those moments and go, take a play from my friend, the Buddha. Find that tree, sit under it, and find some spiritual peace by closing your mouth and closing your mind down and focusing on just your breath. Inhale the breath, feel the air go through your nostrils, feeling it tickle the hair of the nostril. Let it out. And repeat that and focus just on the breath. And then very shortly, your brain just goes, whoop, and it'll get distracted. And then you just go back to the breath, back to the breath. And in doing this, you can transform yourself and be more successful. I just hired one of our board members as an executive vice president in our company. Probably one of the last big hires I'm going to have for the next year. And there's a lot more chaos right now with what's our organization, our church, our men's homes, our mental health practice, everything. All of it is, for some people, they say, my gosh, it's just getting more and more and more. It is. It's exciting. It's exciting because there's more and more problems and there's more and more opportunities. And so that's part of what's interesting when it comes to, you got to practice winning, not by getting all worked up, but by loosening up. Watch great athletes before the Super Bowl this year when they play. They'll have their headset on their head out on the field, and they're all by themselves. They don't want to be chit-chatting with their buddy. They don't want to be out there doing selfies. The majority of the time, they have a specific routine, and they try to stick to it so that they can get focused to win that game. And what they're doing is they're focusing on that positive self-image in their head. They're imagining they're receiving the ball. They're imagining the defensive end trying to take that ball and strip it from them. They're imagining catching it, being sacked, hit, ripped, thrown, tore, kicked, and stomped on. And they're imagining how they're going to make it over it and overcome it. See, they don't focus on, they're going to destroy me. They focus on, they're going to try, but here's how I'm going to get around it. Okay. All right. Next thing, self-dimension, positive self-dimension. Look beyond yourself, create other winners, and live in the now. Listen, if you're doing this just for you, you're selfish and you're not going to succeed long. And you say, JB, I've seen a lot of selfish people. Me too. And there are some that make it in society and they're evil and they survive, but not too long. Look at people like Pablo Escobar and what's that guy? Chapo or whatever, El Chapo. You know, these guys all ran some of the biggest cartels in the world, but they only lasted at the top for a little bit. That's because they're evil. Look at people that do bad things. It comes eventually. What you sow, you reap. You got people like celebrities out there, rappers that are in prison for having, sexually violated multiple people. You got Epstein's and all these people that have done bad things. And you say they got away with it. They had billions. He didn't get away with it. He's dead in a cell and his name is marred for life. And he's destroyed everything that he ever cared or loved about and anyone that he cared and loved about, if he ever even cared and loved about anybody. And that's the same thing. These people, are there a few that get away through life with bad stuff? Of course there are. They're always going to be. But listen, I can't explain this. You got to look beyond yourself. You got to help people to make it too. And that's why I don't take a salary, folks, because I can bring on I had a choice this year, start taking a partial salary or hire another person. I needed an executive, but I also sure could be greedy. And I mean, you'd think after 5 years, I'm not being greedy. I've been building this thing for 5 years and I still haven't taken salary. So guess what? That's okay. I got my little 1,800 that I live off each month. I have it down to a science, what I can spend each time. And I know I have my blueprint. And why do I do that? People say all the time, it's not because I'm trying to be noble. I could care less about money. What it is I want to simply think about other people than just me. The more I can bring in, the faster we can grow, the more people we can help. So then when you look at positive self projection, that's the 10th and final one that Dennis talks about. Listen, set the best example and just be lovable. Set the best example and just be lovable. I had to tell a guy at my organization today that you are what we people in society call a leech. You're sucking on the tit of society. I know some of you are like, our bishop just say that? There's no other way to say it. You're a leech and you just take and you sleep all day and you play video games all night and you think that's acceptable. Well, yeah, it's government money. What do you care? Son, that's not government money. Do you know who the government's money is? It's my money. I pay taxes and that's my money paying those taxes. And see the director over there, the new director, it's his taxes. That's his money you're taking and sitting on each month thinking that America just gives you a check because you got, SSI because you have some trauma in your life. Well, let me tell you, I got some trauma in mine. But you need to get your butt off the ground because the majority of this country is sick of the leeches. That's what we're tired of. People are tired of someone just sitting on welfare for 30 years, dying on welfare. Welfare is not meant to be lived on, folks. Welfare is supposed to be a hand up, not a hand out. We've lost that over the last 40 years. And now I am the guy that gets to deal with all those criminals because that's what happens. They got no money and they just want to stay where they're at as a bum, a leech. So they go out and do crimes. And then they come into my place. And then they get me telling them, you're no leech and you're not going to be a leech in my world or else you're out of here. You can go live at some other halfway house. They'll put 15 men in the same size house that I put 5 in. They have no yachts that I give them. They have no speedboats. They have no mansions to go to and play at. They have no game rooms. They have no multiple mountain offices for them to go and stay at. They have none of this stuff. Our guys get jobs and make 6 figures. That's what we do to people. And I had to tell that to someone today. And I had to do it in a loving way. And you can still do that. And so this whole concept of this attitude is part of what I was teaching today to this guy. You got to change your attitude on life. Will they take your SSI away? I don't know. I hope they do. That's what I said to him. I do. Because he can work. He can. Because he does it. I see him. If I tell him there's a gaming contest going on for 10 hours straight, he could go nonstop, no food, no bathroom break, nothing whatsoever. Second you get him on the farm and say, hey, I need you to do your hours of volunteer work, he asks for 2 breaks during the hour and a bathroom break. But go ahead and tell him to play the game for 10 hours and not move, and he'll make it happen. So that's called a leech. And I had to get him to see his mindset. You got to change this mindset. And that's what Dr. Dennis was showing us. He gave us some great points that if you look at, you guys can help change your mindsets. I love you guys. I went 5 minutes over. God bless you. Listen to me. Your mindset is what you need to focus on to start off your year in 2026. If you want to make a change in your life and you want to get people to see it, and you want to most importantly see it yourself, then I need you to take this mindset stuff serious. What is your mindset? Is it always someone else's fault? Stop blaming everybody. Take full responsibility for all actions that come to you, and don't be upset about it anymore. Let it flow through you and just go past, right over you like a duck with water, right? Let it flow right off. 2026 is a year for you to thrive inside your mentality. We need to change the mentality of our mindset. So I know I went 6 minutes over. Again, I just need you to hear this year. Focus on your mindset, and that's how you get wealthy in finances, in relationships, with jobs. People want to all the time tell me, why can't I get a job? Because you suck. That's why. Your attitude sucks. Your personality sucks. You want to get a job? Be the lovable person everyone wants to be around. I sometimes get upset when times I get people that, gosh, why do they always want to come and see me? Why do they always want to be around me? And someone finally said, JB, you're lovable. I was like, oh, that's all I got to do is change being lovable? But if you're the one that can't get a job, you need to be lovable, and you need to make people love you. And you do that by changing this mindset. All right, guys, I love you. Have a great week. Welcome to our company, the newest executive vice president, Tyler Rusin. He is one of the biggest scorers of our life in this firm. He's amazing. He left a family business to come here because he believes in you, he believes in us, and he believes in the group. And he believes that we too, like you, can all change our mindsets so that we can be a better person to ourselves, our family, our loved ones, and our society. God bless and be blessed. We'll see you next week.